Welcome in to Legacy Beyond Wealth. I am Ben George with Rob Shelton. He is the founder of Axio Wealth Management there in Utah. You can find him online at axiowm.com. Now, I know when people talk about insurance and property and casualty, it's not the most exciting topic, right? I understand that maybe can seem boring, but I know you're saying this is a pretty big area of risk, right, that a lot of families might be overlooking.
Absolutely. We go with clients through a discovery process. And as we do that, we talk about the professionals they're using. And one of them that we use is their property and casualty agent. And it's amazing to me how many times a lot of people can't even name them off the top of their head. They got to go into their contacts and try to look it up, or the last text or email that they sent. And a lot of times it's become a very commoditized world. But boy, is it ever so important to make sure that you have the right coverages in place. They've got your home, your auto, and your umbrella policies. And a lot of time we make the assumption, if I'm just making the premium, they're set up correctly. But what they don't see is maybe the gaps that exist there, because insurance can sometimes be very confusing for people. And the problem is a lot of times these silent issues that don't go addressed could really be impactful when you go to make a claim and find out that you didn't have the right coverage, or that your policies weren't structured the right way to provide that coverage for you.
I know people that maybe hear that, maybe think, well, I feel pretty good about where I stand, and I don't really think I have much need for concern, but I'm sure you've seen this firsthand a number of times, so much so that you think it's worth discussing, right?
Absolutely. In fact, once a year, we ask for all the declaration pages for the clients that we work with their agent. And it's interesting to see how many agents actually return our phone call after the client has requested that. Sometimes it's really difficult to get those policies. And if it's difficult just to get the information on the policies, imagine what that might be when you're trying to make a claim, or if there was any gaps that existed when they wrote the policies to begin with. It takes me back to a client we worked with a few years ago. She was very wealthy, and she had a home that she had paid off in California worth over $3 million. And, when she paid it off, she didn't think about making sure that she set up a bank account to be able to draft it, because she was used to just paying it with the mortgage. And the policy lapsed. The agent didn't call her, didn't warn her that she didn't have any coverage. And so she had no coverage for 3 years, until we came along and started to work with her, and we did an assessment on it and found out that that wasn't an insured property, which in California, in the foothills where she was at, that was very dangerous. I mean, we just have to turn on the news and see the wildfires that exist out there, yet alone any liability from someone being hurt on our property. And so making sure that we have everything down right and getting it reviewed once a year is so critical and so important. And like I said, we just see a lot of gaps that do exist from different clients.
Yeah, that's good to know, and why we want to make you aware of this conversation today. And, a lot of people probably wouldn't even be aware of that risk that's right there under their own roof. So if you want to begin kind of figuring out if you are in a good position and make sure everything's covered, there are some questions I know you'd be asking your property and casualty agent. So take us through some of those, Rob, and what's most important.
Yeah, one of the top ones that are out there that we see happen time and time again are all the properties and ownerships that you have, and the way that you hold that property titled right on the policy. And what I mean by that, and maybe not too much lingo, industry lingo there, is if you have an investment property and it's inside of an LLC, but the insurance policy is in your name, you may not have insurance coverage on that property because the LLC isn't listed as the insured individual or entity. And so understanding how your properties are held and how they're written on the insurance policy is so critical. So one thing we do for all of our top clients is we do what we call an asset map in the third quarter of every year, where we go through and we take a look. We will do the digging and looking on the state and county records for how properties are held, how businesses are held. And then we compare that to the insurance policies, because we want to make sure that those properties that are owned a certain way also reflect that on the insurance policy in case any claim needs to be made. It's not an out for the insurance company. And so very important to make sure that you have that titled correctly.
Yeah, you got to make sure it fits what your needs are, right? It's like having a spare tire that actually doesn't fit your car. What's the purpose, right?
Yeah, and I can't tell you how frustrating that is when you pay the premium, you've paid the cost, and all it did was make sure that the right boxes were checked, or or that things were taken care of for you. It's important to do that at least once a year in our mind.
Yeah, and the reality is the insurance companies are looking very close to these things, right? They're looking for those outs that might be there. So why you want to make sure you do that? What's another question you can be asking?
Yeah, the second one is what's excluded from my umbrella coverage. Most people feel like an umbrella policy is like a blanket coverage. It's kind of like that security blanket, but the truth may be many umbrella policies are full of holes, like business vehicles, rental properties, watercraft, high risk activities. These often require what we call separate riders or policies to make sure that you have coverage. And so if you haven't asked what's excluded, it means that you're assuming that the protection may not exist. That's what I tell people. And so you want to make sure that you've dived deep into that and ask them what's excluded from my umbrella policy. We've done that a couple of times, and we found that clients might have a little bit more risky behavior that they're engaged in, that they find that it's excluded underneath their umbrella policy when they thought that it was included. And so making sure that we have that and knowing what's excluded is really important.
Are you ready to unlock the freedom to live your best life? Schedule your no-cost 60-minute discovery meeting with our team today. During this session, we'll take the time to understand your family story and financial dreams. Together, we'll craft a personalized roadmap designed to help you achieve your goals. Let's explore how we can unlock the freedom for you and your family to thrive. Just click the link in the description of today's show to get started.
All right, so that's a couple of questions you can ask. Now you have 3 on the list here that are important for people. So what's that last one?
Yeah, so this is an interesting one. A lot of times people take a look at it and they get insurance coverage for just what their assets are worth, not what their net worth is. And so, the question you want to ask as you're reviewing your coverage, is it based on my current net worth and not just my assets? And to explain a little bit about that, if you look at just your house and what the coverage is on the house, they may just get you insurance on the house and the umbrella coverage might be there just to cover a little bit more. But you really want to make sure you have the right type of coverages for the assets that you have. I mean, we talk about asset protection. That's the whole reason we pay for the insurance, is to make sure it's there to protect your net worth. And if we're not working off of that net worth number and just off of like what your car is worth or individually what your home is worth or what a rental property is worth, we're really not looking at the big picture. It's kind of like a pond that we have out there. And, when you throw a rock into the pond, if you just look at the initial splash and that's it, you're really missing the bigger picture. We want to see the ripple that takes across the whole spectrum of your net worth and your financial situation and making sure that we got complete coverage. And a lot of people might be going like, gosh, Rob, this seems like a lot of work. And I don't know if I necessarily want to take and do all of that. And that's where working with a great wealth manager like ourselves, we take that responsibility on to have those conversations and then to provide an executive summary back of, hey, here's the gaps that exist. And doing that every year really forces that property casualty agent to be on the top of their game and to be reviewing those policies proactively.
Yeah, and if you want to do that, you can go to AxioWM.com, learn more about Axio Wealth. You can also schedule that discovery call and begin talking through some of these concerns. This is a great starting point, maybe one of the conversations you'd have during that discovery call, but it's an important one, as you can see. So what we like to do here in these videos, obviously, is not just kind of make you aware of these things, but also talk about what you can do to make sure you're okay moving forward. So if someone's listening and is worried about where they stand, what is maybe something they can be doing next, Rob?
Yeah, so here's 3 action steps you can take this week to be able to do a review with your property casualty agent. First and foremost, email them, call them, and schedule a comprehensive review of your policies, not just a renewal. Make sure that you take a look at it and have them look at it as if you were a first-time client, not just a repeat client. And then loop in your financial advisor or your estate planning professional. Usually gaps exist when other professionals kind of know what questions to be able to ask. And that's going to be really important to loop in your other professionals. And last but not least, I always love it when clients come in and they create their own what if checklist. Most clients know what liability they hold. And what I'm thinking about specifically is a client that we have that has some recreation property in the mountain areas here in Utah. And a lot of family and friends go up and utilize that recreation property, whether it be skiing down the backside of the hill to the property or four-wheeling, doing the or ATVs during the summertime, or just hiking. There's some risk that exists there. And so I love it when they come in with what if questions, because then we can really talk about the risks that are specifically a concern to the client and making sure that there's coverage there. So number 3 is creating that what if checklist.
Yeah, great one to finish on. And I know that, it's especially important for people in your area there in Utah, as you kind of point out. It's a great example of why, people need to be concerned and at least be aware of this as well. And it's not just about the technical protection. That's obviously a part of it, but there's a deeper reason behind all this, right?
Yeah, I mean, you work so hard to build your net worth and to build your wealth because it can help you live your best life. But part of that is we have to make sure we're protecting it. Axio is known for Latin for owl, and so a lot of times we joke it's about protecting your nest. And as you're building that nest, making sure we got the right protection so no one can come unjustly take that for you, and making sure those protections are for that wealth to do what you want to do, and to utilize it to build relationships and memories with those that mean the most to you. And living that ideal life is so important. We just don't want it to be lost or at risk for something that could have been easily protected.
Well, if you want to make sure you're not just insured, but you are protected, you want that quiet confidence, you can always get in touch with Rob at Axio Wealth Management. The contact information is in the show description, but take advantage of that discovery call and begin talking through some of your concerns, some of your goals, right? Some of your wishes for your wealth and how to be a great steward with that wealth for your family for generations to come. There's a lot on the website there you can look through. Also, check out our channel. If you're not familiar with it, go back to some of the past videos. We talked about a number of great topics so far, but this is one we haven't covered yet. So hopefully this has been beneficial for you. If you've enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel as well. We'd appreciate that support. And as always, Rob, thanks for your time.
Thanks, Ben.